Hello, this is Matthew Kilbride, and this is my audio file for Module 2 on the future of schooling, specifically in relation to cultivating a growth mindset among students. So, first of all, the purpose of schooling. I believe that school, for a growth mindset, if we want to cultivate a growth mindset, school is a means of becoming an individual with the capacity to shape the world, rather than an individual who can fit into the world as it exists now. We want students who do not have the skills for the moment, but the students who have the capacities and potentials for the skills of tomorrow. So that is the purpose of schooling in a growth-centered mindset. Our learning environment. I think the school should be composed of open edges rather than closed borders, so that the environment calls to mind the unexplored possibilities, rather than a strict set of rules and regulations whose adherence to is a measure of a student's success. When I went to school, we often stood in line, we raised our hands, we learned how to behave, we were socialized in that way, and that was a preparation for life in society. And in many ways that was useful. However, for a growth mindset, those things are important, but also a space, a physical environment that encourages exploration, encourages new questions, encourages pushing beyond our current state. So that learning environment would be ideal for a growth mindset education. Our teaching methods. Our teaching should aim to challenge and encourage students to push themselves to new heights, rather than to just be a passive teacher of predetermined skills. So, in this sense, we want our students, when they learn, to realize what lies before them, not to simply master what they're doing at the moment, right? It's important to master what you're doing, but likewise, it's important to see, all right, where is this going? What are we pushing towards? So our teaching should encourage, it should lead rather than simply instruct. So what does that mean for the curriculum? I think the curriculum doesn't need to be radically altered in the future of schooling. I think the core subjects are still the core subjects. But what should infuse the curriculum is that learning environment I already discussed, those teaching methods. So the curriculum should teach with an eye toward the yet undone, right? We learn math so as to someday be the producers of greater math. We read literature so as to go on to be the producers of greater literature. Children are not merely the passive receptacles of a pre-existing corpus of knowledge, but the next in chain in an ongoing progression towards greater achievement. Right? So what we're teaching them is a lineage that has a past and a present, but also a future. And we encourage them, we enable them to carry on that lineage, right? A future growth mindset. Social emotional skills, I think, are really key in all of this, and they need to be woven deeply into all the traditional subjects area, because the growth mindset is largely emotional and then behavioral. And the social and emotional skills of our students should be brought to bear on every subject, even one as seemingly unemotional as math, for instance. If students are growth-oriented, then the emotional element will infuse their study of, say, math and direct it into a social direction, since we aim for a growth of the community, not merely isolated individuals. Now, in terms of skills and competencies, I think this is a bit of a sober note, because the growth mindset is useless if it's not undergirded by applicable skills. You can only be a pioneer of the next improvement if you're a master of the current one. Therefore, a growth mindset can't be a wishy-washy feel-good fest where nothing's actually learned. The emphasis rather is on the application of learning. We learn to move forward, not to thrive in the here and now. So I think the true test of growth mindset education is a successful synthesis of the learning of fundamental skills and competencies alongside the social and emotional skills that shape a dynamic and transformative vision of education. So what about the parents and community? As mentioned earlier, the growth mindset, it's not about the individual alone, but the collective individuals, the community. So in order to achieve this, we need to engage families and communities and to encourage students to recognize that they're in a nested group in which they can succeed. So the vision of a true growth mindset education is daunting given all the existing and potential obstacles, but as individuals, we can commit ourselves to an achievement and ultimately It's through the commitment of each individual interacting with many other individuals that a movement is born and real change can be realized. Thanks.